Do you consider? Do you have collaborative relationships with your editor at all? Because, like my brother said, our editor looked at that, said, "This ending is tapering off. It's a little bit wishy-washy," and so he gave us this advice. And frankly, it enabled us to write 2 more books within that series.
Our best editor is Robert Gleason, and he's contributed a lot to what we've written.
The 2 best editors I ever worked with were Bob Gleason and Jim Bain. Hartwell was editor of record on one of my books, but he was busy with doing Golem 100 with Alfie Bester, which was either his last or next to last novel. And all his time went in on that, and my book, he essentially got no editing at all.
It was Oath of Fieldy. You had a book involved too?
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Oath of Fieldy.
We got no input for Oath of Fieldy.
Yeah, by the time that book got turned into Pocket, it was the editor, I've forgotten his name. Very feisty. He was the editor-in-chief of Pocket by that time. Forgotten his name. We had lunch with him at the Polo Lounge.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name now. But what he said was
it Wright or White?
Huh?
Wright, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. He had just been the editor of the White Castle, which he got on the bestseller list, and he promised us he would get Oath of Fieldy on the bestseller list, and he did. It was like number 7, but it was on the bestseller list in at least 3 weeks. So
we are quite proud of Oath of Fieldy, but an editor might have made it even better.
Yeah, but he did very little editing, and but he did, and basically he promised to get it on the bestseller list because the company had neglected the book in the editorial phase. Some publishers actually have a certain sense of obligation to their authors. Most don't.
Since the 3 of you seem to be pretty much collaborative writing and personified, as it were, one rule I get is that somebody has to have veto. Any other advice you give to people that want to be collaborative writers
Mutual
together?
respect. If you don't think the other guy is one of the best writers in the world, don't get involved. Just don't do it. It doesn't work if you don't think the other guy's worth working with. And whether it's 2 people or 3, everybody does 90% of the work.
Yeah, there's nothing easy
that's
about
true.
that.
There's nothing easy.
Everybody does 90% of the work.
Complementary skills. You should feel that there's a unique mix going on there.
Yeah.
That there's something's going to come out of the other end that none of the individuals, neither or none of the individuals involved could do by themselves.
Yeah, that pretty much describes me and Donnie to a T.
Yeah, if you can do it by yourself, do it by yourself. Why get somebody else involved?
Right, like Eitan hates the research part, so he'll be da-da-da-da-da, insert technical solution here, I'm moving on. And so then I've got to go vet with, astrophysicists and, particle physicists and figure out a way to make this hypothetical, railgun stop working.
I think I literally wrote insert techno magic here.
But he doesn't like that. I love that. I love learning and talking with these guys and opening up their brains, and so that works.
In Moat, for instance, I can remember 2 or 3 places where I came up with a necessary scene and said, here are these characters and here's what's got to happen, and a few days later Larry's done it. Another time he wrote 2 or 3 scenes simply because they were fun scenes. They didn't really even have much to do with the plot. And I was able to look at them and figure out a way to connect them, and it ended up one of the best chapters in the book.
I would think so. Yeah, Larry comes up with magic at times, and one of the things that's the most fun in working with him is seeing what kind of madness he's going to come up with.
Right.
Yeah, it's things that we recently had, was it 25th anniversary or 50th or 25th of Lucifer's Hammer something.
Yeah.
They did in
more than that though.
Nature magazine of all places had a big anniversary appreciative thing 2 pages on Lucifer's hammer, which I thought was quite an honor. And here is this big book on, on asteroid strike, comet strikes, and that we got the science right and all that. And imagine the amount of work that went into making it happen. So how'd they start the review? With his goddamn surfer, of course, which is maybe 2 pages in the book.
Yeah.
And it's the one everybody remembers. Now, I would never have thought of that guy in 2 million years.
For those of you who haven't read it, first of all, shame on you. It's a brilliant scene where this tidal wave is wiping out Los Angeles, and there's this surfer who says, screw it. He surfs out, and he tries to surf the wave all the way to the Pasadena Hills. I mean, it's just wonderful scene.
He gets as far as Barrington Apartments B, where my wife lived before we married.
Well, that about wraps up this episode of NeverEndingPanel.com. I'd like to thank our guest authors, Dr. Jerry Pournelle, Steve Barnes, and Larry Niven, of course, Eitan and myself, for coming tonight and elucidating us with your stories and your advice. And thank you very much for coming here for our audience. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.